discuss more is Daniel Kreeger. He's the Executive Director and co-founder of the Climate Change Officers Association. Great to have you on the program today. Talk more about how climate change has impacted Brazil in terms of this drought and spurred some of these wildfires it's currently seeing.
Yeah, well, we've already seen about 20% deforestation of the Amazon region, the basin, over the last few decades. A lot of that is human-driven, but it's also now we're seeing the effects of climate change. So you're getting drier conditions that are really not conducive to growing in the area, and you're seeing a lot more volatility in those extreme events as well.
And of course, the lack of rainfall poses risks for global crop supplies, which countries are fairly dependent on Brazil for products like coffee and soybeans. And talk about how detrimental a drought like this could be on Brazil's trade.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Brazil's the largest exporter in the world of coffee, sugar, and soybeans. So I think we can expect to see something similar to what we saw about 14 years ago when we had a major famine hitting Russia and China, and that affected grain production in that part of the world and resulted in a surge of bread costs throughout the Middle East.
And, you know, the effects of this drought are fairly wide-reaching. What about some of the communities and the people and also animals in the area, you know, the ecosystems that exist around the Amazon? How are they being affected?
Exactly right. So we're already seeing water shortages in regions of Brazil like Madeira and Puros, which is about the size of Mexico, where they've declared states of water emergency. But you've got the broader Amazon basin, which is including Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Peru, Suriname, and Venezuela. So you're really talking about a massive swath of South America that's impacted by this. That's going to affect communities. It's going to affect agriculture. It's going to affect people's livelihoods.
How can the problem be helped? I mean, aside from obviously tackling, you know, global emissions, is there a way of reversing this incredibly vulnerable state that Brazil is in by changing what's happening with the deforestation?
Well, certainly we can stop with the deforestation. We need to protect what's there. I think water management is going to be a critical activity here. It's not going to be enough. A lot of the wildfires that we're seeing, the conditions are ripe for wildfires, much like we see in the Southwest United States and in California, where the conditions are ripe for the wildfire, but it's really human activity that causes the actual wildfires that we see. So we need to be better at preparing ourselves. We need to conduct ourselves better, and we're going to have to relocate ourselves to some degree out of harm's way.
There's a lot of politics around this, though, isn't there? You know, a pledge to deliver zero deforestation by 2030 was among the promises made by Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva when he became Brazil's president. But he's facing a lot of pushback from Brazil's National Congress, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the politics around this are difficult because the Amazon is the world's lungs. Globally, we are absolutely dependent upon the Amazon staying right and intact and, frankly, growing back. But on the flip side, in Brazil, there's a lot of pressure for economic development. That's a very difficult and fraught political battle that they're going to have to deal with, and internationally, countries are going to have to provide support for.
All right, Daniel Kreeger, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.